Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another movie review on Rogue One, a Star Wars story, non-spoiler review. I will be doing a spoiler review later on, probably on Monday or something like that, but I just wanted to get this video out talking about the movie without giving any spoilers, and I want to try something a little different. I want to try editing this video and then editing a spoiler review later on. Usually I put them both in one really long video, so let's try to make this one a little bit more concise and see how it goes. Gotta try new things every now and then, right? Okay, so I saw Star Wars Rogue One, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story, yesterday at the AMC Theater in San Francisco on Van Ness with my wife and my parents. I gotta say, just right off the bat, I love this movie. I loved it. My expectations were not very high, but I can't say that they're very low. I did expect a certain quality of Star Wars movie over here. Mid-range expectations. The movie kind of reminds me of the Titanic, just a little bit, because in Titanic we all know what happens at the end. This movie, I mean, if you're following Star Wars at all, the first Star Wars movie, this is part of that, so you know what happens. But the thing that I just didn't really expect was how much I fell in love with the characters. I feel like the characters were extremely well written. I like the dynamic between the characters. The way they interacted with each other was different than we see how the other characters interact with each other. I mean, comparing this movie to Star Wars The Force Awakens, which I did, I was like, wow, this is much better. This just hands down a better film, I think. That's just my personal opinion. My wife disagrees. I think she liked The Force Awakens a little bit more, but this is a very rich movie. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and that's probably one of the flaws of the movie for some people, is that there's a lot of things being thrown at you, and it takes a minute to adjust. For you musicians, you'll understand sometimes you have a new sheet of music. You know, they put a sheet of music in front of you and you're supposed to just play it. You never heard the song your whole life. But you got to kind of like shut off all the, looking at all the little details in the chart. You see a lot of this ink and everything. You're like, oh my God, am I going to be able to play that? But you got to just trust it and just go with it. And that's how I felt like the movie was for me. I was like, man, this is a lot of stuff you're throwing at me, but I'm just trusting you and I'm going with it. And throughout the movie, whenever I had questions, I was like, wait, what was this thing again? The movie would answer my questions for me. Everything was just well thought out and very consistent. If there was a moment of me being slightly confused, the movie answered it for me, and it was just, I just, so well written. And the acting, I think the acting was spectacular. I'm telling you, man, I'm not a crying fool. I'm not into crying, alright? I don't do that, but once in a while I do. Once in a while I want to in the movie theater, and I cannot remember the last time I wanted to tear up during a movie. Hey man, there's 2 times I was getting choked up. One of those 2 times though, I was like, oh dude, you're gonna start crying. Like, dude, pack it in, like rein it in, dude, just chill out. I was like, wow, damn, I was in it. Halfway through the movie, I realized I loved it because I had come to the realization I was just sitting there with a big fat grin on my face, just IMAX 3D, I highly recommend it. I love the IMAX 3D. Now, keep in mind that the AMC movie theater isn't true IMAX. It's a little bit smaller, which the wife liked. I like the big, massive version that we have at the Lowe's Theater at Metreon, but this was very good too. And we were all the way in the back row, and it was still really good 3D. Now, not only was I very happy with the new characters, I was very happy with the new troopers. You know, they added in these new troopers, and I feel like they worked really well with the existing Empire and everything. It's just like they just kind of snuck them in there, because we see new troopers throughout the original trilogy, and it changes depending on what planet they're on and whatnot. And we get that again. It's very consistent. Another thing I really liked about it was the complexities on the opposing sides. You have the Rebellion and you have the Empire. And within the Empire, there's conflict. And I love that. And our main villain is Director Krennic. In the trailers, you see some Darth Vader. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of Darth Vader, and you don't really see a whole lot of Darth Vader. But Krennic, I really liked a lot. I really loved Krennic as a character. The conflict that we see within the Rebellion, especially earlier in the movie, I loved that as well. And it just made it feel like a very realistic wartime type of movie. And not just that, but like the visuals that went along with it, the way things were shot, it kind of reminded me of like some real war stuff that you see on the news and everything. It just really seemed frightening and scary, and I felt like it was very real, and I think they nailed it. Oh my goodness, the action was so good. Not blurry, no confusion. I mean, it was just shot incredibly well. You get some new perspective on some things that you've seen before. I thought that was great. And I also love the unintrusive nods to the previous Star Wars films. We get nods to the prequels, we get nods to the original trilogy. I mean, it's extremely well done, and not to the point where I feel like it takes you away from the film. It just felt like it was just all connected. You know, sometimes when you get these little nods and everything, it's like, oh yeah, we're watching a Star Wars movie or something like that. Didn't make me feel that way at all. Going back to my original complaint, which is actually my only complaint about this movie, is that there's a lot of stuff thrown at you at the beginning, but it kind of wades itself out and it kind of flattens out and you start to really understand what's happening here. I'm going to talk about this movie in more detail during my spoiler review, but I just wanted to talk about this film and just share how much I love this. I'm very tired, by the way. We saw the movie at 10:45, so it was very late. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, but man, absolutely fantastic movie. Absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it. And I will have a figure review or a statue review, I'm not sure which, later for you guys today. And I'm doing Star Wars videos throughout the whole weekend. Still doing Star Wars, baby! Yeah, yeah! Alright, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.